Title: The free VPN that was spying on me. Callum was the kind of guy who fixed things. At 34, living in Birmingham, he spent most days hopping between coffee shops and home offices, offering freelance IT support to small local businesses. He knew how to clean up a slow laptop, set up a network, or untangle the mystery of a blinking router. When friends had tech trouble, he was their first call. But that night, Callum wasn't fixing anything. He just wanted to unwind. A friend had told him about a show airing exclusively on a US streaming platform, something about true crime and cults, the kind of thing that made your skin crawl in a good way. It wasn't available in the UK, of course, but Callum knew there were ways around that. He opened his phone, Googled best free VPN for Android, and within seconds, a clean-looking app popped up with thousands of glowing reviews. Unlimited, 100% free, private, fast. It even had a Union Jack icon in the app description, which made it feel trustworthy. No account needed, no annoying ads. One tap later, he was connected to a US server. "Why would anyone pay for this?" he muttered, as the blocked website loaded perfectly. Callum smiled, grabbed a drink, and hit play. The stream was smooth. His tech brain relaxed. It all felt too easy. He didn't give it another thought, and that was the trap. By the next morning, Callum had already forgotten about the VPN. The streaming worked, the app didn't ask for anything weird, and his phone didn't slow down. As far as he could tell, it was a win. But then, strange things started to happen. It began with an ad. Scrolling through Instagram during lunch, Callum saw a sponsored post for a budgeting app he'd searched once on his laptop 2 nights before. Not his phone, his laptop. And he'd been using incognito mode. He blinked. Weird, but not impossible. Maybe Chrome synced his activity, he shrugged it off. Then a couple days later, while checking Gmail, he noticed something even stranger. A promo email for travel insurance to Canada. That might not sound odd, except he'd been reading an obscure blog post about working holidays in Toronto just the night before. He hadn't clicked any links, hadn't searched anything on Google, he'd just read the post. Now it was starting to feel off. Maybe it's just Google being creepy, he told himself. He wasn't wrong. He knew the web tracked everything. Between cookies, cross-device tracking, and autofill data, nothing was truly private. But still, this was different. He had never seen ads that precise. Over the next few days, the pattern continued. A fitness tracker he looked up on a work client's Wi-Fi showed up in his Instagram Explore tab. A software product he mentioned on Slack appeared in a sidebar ad. A YouTube video recommended a VPN comparison known he had read before installing the app. He started to get a knot in his stomach. What tied it all together? One thing, the free VPN. He'd installed it on both his phone and laptop, using it casually for browsing and streaming since that night. He hadn't adjusted any settings. He hadn't read the permissions. He was supposed to be the tech-savvy one, the guy who helped others avoid scams. But now, something didn't feel right. Callum paused and said aloud, "It's probably nothing." But in his gut, he knew. When you feel watched, there's usually a reason. It was just after midnight when Callum gave in. He couldn't shake the feeling, the ads, the odd suggestions, the creeping sense that his digital shadow had grown longer than it should. His instincts as an IT support guy kicked in. Curiosity, yes, but also responsibility. What if he was wrong? What if he wasn't? He opened his laptop, VPN still active, and went straight to the app's website. No About Us section, no clear company address. The contact form was vague, just a Gmail address. He scrolled to the terms of service. That's when it got interesting. Buried halfway down, under vague language about connection improvements and service delivery, were the words data optimization and sharing with trusted third-party affiliates. He sat up straight. That was corporate speak for "we collect and sell your data." Digging deeper, he ran a quick whiz lookup on the domain. The company wasn't based in the UK, not even Europe. It was registered anonymously in the British Virgin Islands. Next, he checked the App Store again. Dozens of 5-star reviews, but many sounded identical. Generic praise, broken English, repeating phrases like "best VPN ever, no lag." Fake reviews. Then came the final check, Callum's ace in the hole. He opened a packet monitoring tool and ran a simple test. Leave the VPN on, don't browse anything, and see what happens. Within seconds, the screen lit up with unexpected traffic. Data was being sent out constantly, not just to VPN servers, but to third-party domains he didn't recognize. IPs traced back to ad tech firms, analytics platforms, and data warehousing companies. While protected, His data was bleeding out of the system like a slow leak in a tire. His stomach turned. This wasn't privacy, it was performance theater. The VPN wasn't a shield, it was a siphon. Callum stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he took a deep breath, muttered, "I should have known," and clicked uninstall. Callum sat frozen in front of his laptop. The data logs didn't lie. While the VPN claimed to protect his privacy, it had been steadily feeding his digital activity to who knows where. The irony? The tool he'd installed to be invisible had made him transparent. "This isn't privacy," he muttered. "It's digital pickpocketing." His mouse hovered for only a second before he clicked uninstall. He deleted the app from both his laptop and phone. But that wasn't enough. He knew how this worked, just deleting it didn't erase the trail it had already captured. Still, it was a start. He didn't stop there. Callum spent the next 2 hours researching legitimate VPN services. This time, he didn't just Google Best VPN UK, he looked for transparency, clear company info, data privacy policies with no shady loopholes, independent audits, and real reviews. He landed on a UK-based VPN provider with a paid monthly plan. Nothing flashy, no lifetime free offers. Just clean policies, real customer support, and a clear no-logs policy. He paid for it without flinching. £7.49 a month? That was less than 2 coffees and miles cheaper than having his data harvested and sold without his knowledge. As he watched the installation bar fill, he felt something unexpected. Relief. Real privacy was quiet. Simple. Not loud and free, and too good to be true. But he couldn't let it end there. He opened his favorite UK tech forum, the one where he'd helped strangers fix printer issues and debug browser extensions. He typed up a warning. Subject: "That top-rated free VPN? It's leaking your life." He explained what had happened. No tech jargon, just a clear walkthrough. The shady terms, the fake reviews, the packet leaks. He added screenshots of the data traffic logs and links to the Woz search results. He listed red flags to watch for and VPNs worth checking out instead. He hit post and leaned back. A wave of embarrassment crept in. He, of all people, should have known better. He worked in IT, people trusted him for advice on security, and yet he'd walked straight into the trap. But shame turned into purpose. Because if he could fall for it, what about the average user? Callum realized this wasn't just a story about tech. It was a story about trust and how easy it is to lose it when convenience wears a mask. That night, he slept lighter. Not because he'd solved everything, but because he'd finally stopped pretending free meant harmless. The deeper Callum dug, the darker it got. It turned out, the free VPN he downloaded wasn't just some harmless app with ads. It was part of a network of foreign-owned shell companies operating under dozens of rebranded names. The parent company wasn't listed in the UK. It wasn't even clear where it was based. Cayman Islands? Cyprus? Dubai? The paper trail ended in legal fog. He found research papers, some published by cybersecurity experts in London X, posing how these companies profited by logging your browsing data and selling it to advertisers, data brokers, even political campaign groups. His web traffic had likely been auctioned off like a product. And here's the kicker. He thought GDPR had his back. But the moment he clicked accept on that VPN's terms buried deep in jargon about service improvement and data partnerships, he'd opted out. By choosing an app hosted overseas, outside UK or EU jurisdiction, he'd bypassed all the privacy protections he took for granted. It felt like a digital loophole the size of a freight train. Callum didn't just keep this knowledge to himself, he started building it into his work. A week later, while doing routine IT support for a cafe in Moseley, he asked if they used a VPN on their public Wi-Fi. They did a free one. He winced. By the end of that shift, he'd helped them uninstall it and replace it with a safer, paid option. He gave a simple rule of thumb: if the app doesn't charge you, it's probably charging someone else to access you. He updated his freelance service list. Right under router setup and software installation, he added a new line: privacy app check.yarn, set up 30 flat. It wasn't just about cleaning up code anymore, it was about protecting people. Callum realized the internet hadn't gotten scarier, it had gotten sneakier. And spotting scams wasn't just for grandmas on WhatsApp anymore. It was for people like him. Callum sat by his window, watching the streetlights flicker in the Birmingham rain. His phone buzzed beside him, just another notification. Probably an ad. He didn't touch it. "I work in tech," he whispered, "and I still got caught." It wasn't just the data tracking that stung, it was the ease of it. One download, one click. No password, no friction, no red flags. That's what made it dangerous. He stared at his phone for a moment, then shook his head. "Privacy isn't free," he muttered. "And if it is, it's probably a trap." He thought of his clients, some young, some older, most not tech-savvy. None of them would have noticed the packet leaks or dodgy permissions. They wouldn't even know what to look for. That's when it hit him. Online privacy wasn't about being paranoid. It was about being prepared. We lock our doors, we shred our post. But online, we download whatever works fastest and pay with our personal lives. Callum opened his laptop, added a blog to his website. "Free VPNs aren't free, here's what I learned." He didn't write it for tech experts. He wrote it for people like his mum, his mates, and anyone who still believed convenience was harmless. Because the next person fooled might not know how to trace the leak. But maybe they'd see his post before it was too late. Moral lesson: online privacy isn't about being paranoid, it's about being prepared. If you're not paying for the app, your data probably is. CTA ending. Follow for real scam stories that protect your money and data. Subscribe for weekly lessons on spotting digital traps.